Welcome to Quick MCAT Lessons, where I try to explain MCAT topics in 10 minutes or less. Today, we're diving into Psych Soc, starting with 6A, which is Sensing the Environment. This includes the basics of how we take in and process sensory information. Before we start Psych, I just want to emphasize how useful it is to make your own examples to each concept. This is a really effective way of learning, and I'll be telling my own examples, but you should make your own. Today we'll go over sensation versus perception, bottom-up versus top-down processing, and sensory adaptation. So first, what is the difference between sensation and perception? Sensation is the raw data. It's a mental process as a result of the immediate external stimulation of a sense organ. It's when sensory receptors detect a stimulus from the environment and send that signal to the brain. Think of light hitting your retina or pressure on your skin. I think about wind hitting my dog Murphy's face while he sticks his head out of the car. That's sensation. Perception is how your brain interprets that signal and turns it into something. So this is like recognizing a face or understanding a word. Perception can be different in people based on multiple factors. One of the factors could be past experiences. For example, if there's two people standing, they could see a dog running towards them. One would get really excited and one would run away scared. The way how they acted upon seeing the dog is based on perception. Sensation is biological, while perception is psychological and is influenced by experience, context, and expectations. Now you can have both sensation without perception and perception without sensation. Perception without sensation may not originally sound intuitive, but things like hallucinations and phantom pain are examples of perception without sensation. An example I think about is ski boots. If you've ever been skiing, then you know taking off your ski boots is an amazing feeling. But after taking my boots off, I still feel as if they are on for a few minutes. And this is an example of perception without sensation because there's no sensation, but I still feel that they are on. On the other hand, you can also have sensation without perception. This is if the stimulus is too weak, then the brain will usually filter it out, making it so there is no perception. But the fact that the brain was able to filter it out proves sensation. This relates to the concept of thresholds, but we'll talk about that next time. Now let's take a look at how the brain actually processes that sensory input. It can do so by bottom-up and top-down processing. The bottom-up processing starts with incoming data from your senses, and it builds up to a final perception. You use this when you encounter something unfamiliar to you or when you don't know what to expect. Top-down processing uses your prior knowledge, memory, and expectations to interpret sensory input. It helps when the information is unclear or ambiguous. So an example, if you're reading a messy sentence with bad handwriting, top-down processing will help you fill in the gaps. This is because your brain already knows what the words are likely to be based on context and past experiences. So I like chess, and my examples for bottom-up and top-down processing are related to chess. So imagine you're playing chess and you see a checkmating pattern, like a beautiful smothered mate, or in the opening you're following a bunch of theory and you play a bunch of set certain rules. Or you spot an instant blunder without calculating everything, you just know that that's wrong. All of this is an example of top-down processing. This is top-down processing as you are using prior knowledge, memory, and expectations to interpret the input. On the other hand, imagine you're playing a puzzle in chess, and you see a brand new puzzle you've never seen before, and the position is completely random and chaotic. So analyzing where each piece is, what it's doing, and how it affects the position is bottom-up processing, as the position is unfamiliar to you, and you do not know what to expect. Moving on to sensory adaptation. So sensory adaptation refers to a decrease in sensitivity to a constant stimulus over time. This happens at the level of the sensory receptor and not in your conscious awareness. So examples here would be when you jump into a cold pool, it's freezing at first, but then you get used to it. Or if you enter a room with a strong smell, you'll notice it less after a couple of minutes. Example I relate to is in elementary school we would have gym class inside, the lights would be a little dim, and we would be playing some sort of game. And then after that we would be sent outside to go run a few laps. Whenever we would go outside, it would always be super bright, and it would take our eyes a few seconds to adapt to this new stimulus and to decrease the sensitivity, allowing us to actually see despite the massive change in brightness. So sensory adaptation is our body's way of filtering out unimportant information so you can focus on new or changing stimuli. One key point though, sensory adaptation is different from habituation. Habituation is more of a learning process that occurs in the brain, and that we'll talk about in 6b. So, to review, sensation is raw input, perception is interpretation, bottom-up is data-driven, and top-down is expectation-driven, and sensory adaptation helps you ignore constant stimuli at the receptor level. That's it for today. Next time we'll talk about thresholds, Weber's law, and signal detection theory.